Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 33 of my horror game tutorial series. So this tutorial is going to be the last one in the series, but don't worry, in the end of this video I will talk about the future of this channel. So let's see what we're going to do today. So as you can see, we are not inside of the Unity editor, but instead we actually build our game. So I'm going to show you how to build the game, and I'm also going to show you how to fix a bug. So I will see you after the intro. Okay, so now we're inside of the Unity editor, and before we can build our game we have to fix one last thing. So let's go to the scripts folder and open up the main menu. Okay, so we have a problem. Let me demonstrate it. So if I go into the play mode and then go to the save and pick up the weapon and la-di-da-di-da and die, you can see my mouse cursor doesn't appear, and if I press escape it still doesn't appear, so we have to fix this. So let me quit out of play mode. So to do that, open up the main menu, and we already got code in place that actually resolves this problem for us. So go to your save script. If you don't have it open up, just open it up. And we are going to copy those two lines of code, because as we can see it unlocks the mouse cursor and makes it visible, and this is exactly what we want to do. So let's go to our main menu, and we want to make the mouse cursor visible once we start up the scene. So we are going to write void start and then open and close brackets and put in those lines of code and save. And now if we test our game again, so let's get to the weapon, grab it and die. You can see our mouse cursor is working, and we can click on new game and it loads us back into the scene. Okay, so let's see, save it. And now we want to export this whole scene and make it playable. So we're going to finally build our game. So before we do that, I want to add a texture to our textures folder, because I made a little icon for our game. It's basically just something I scribbled, and it says the apartment, and it looks kind of scary, and it has a transparent background which you can't see right now, but I think you will see it. So let's grab this icon and put it into the textures folder. You can of course use your own icon for that. And now let's go to File, Build Settings, and now click on Player Settings. So here are a few settings we want to change. So first of all, we want to put in our company name. So our company name is SadSmile Games, at least that's mine. And I'll put in your product name, so how your game is called. My game is called Horror Game Tutorial. The default icon is my icon, and I think my default cursor is going to be my hand. I hope this is not too big. You can leave, of course, you can leave those empty. If you leave them empty, then you will have the default Windows mouse cursor, and you will have your default Unity icon, which is basically the same icon that Unity has. Okay, so here are some other things that I won't go in detail, so you can have a look at them yourself. Here's, like, for example, a preview of your icons, and here's a splash image. So I don't have one, but you could put one in there. And there are also some other settings, which again, we are not going to have a look at those. So close them. And now before we can press the build button, make sure that your scenes are in the right order. So the main menu is the first scene I want to load up, so make sure it has the index number 0. And then I want to load up the apartment which is index number 1. If you don't know how to add those, just watch the tutorial before that, or actually two tutorials before that. It is the tutorial where I show you how to make the main menu scene. And now, if we click on build, you can see that we get a window, like a default Windows window. And now we can choose the location where we want to build our game. I'm going to build mine on the desktop. And here's one important thing: right click and create a new folder, and then call it like, I'm going to call it horror Windows game tutorial. So I'm going to call it like I called my game. Now I double click and go into this folder, and then I'm going to call the file, so this is the name of the exe file, and I'm going to call this one also horror, horror minus game tutorial. And now I click on save, and Unity will start building everything. So you will just have to sit back and wait a while. In my case it is pretty fast because this is a small project. So after that it will open up our folder that we selected. I don't want to have a look at it now, so I go back and close everything down. And now if I go to the folder, if I can find it, so here it is, and let me open it up. The reason why we made a folder for that is, as you can see, here are 2 more files, and those files are required to actually run the application, because if you don't have them, then the application won't run. And I can imagine that some of you might try to give it to your friend, and you will only give them the application, so the exe file, and then you will complain that your game doesn't work. But actually it does, you just forgot to add those files to the thing you want to ship. So we just made a folder so that they are all in one container basically. And now if we open up our horror game tutorial, you can see that we get our little default Unity application, like startup window. If you've never played a Unity game before, this is how it looks. And here you can change things like screen resolution. I'm going to put mine to 920 by 180. You can also select if it's windowed, select your graphics quality if you have multiple monitors like I have. You can select this, and here's somewhat of an input manager. For example, here's our interact button that we made in the tutorial series. So if I don't want this to be E, I can just change it to, let's say, J, or change it back to E. So you can have an external input manager. Of course, I would always recommend that you add an internal input manager. That's a topic for another tutorial series. So that your player can go to options menu and just tweak the controls there, instead of having to go to launcher window like this and have to figure out all the controls in this rather ugly UI. So let's go back, and it didn't save my settings, great. So let's do this again, and now click on the play button, and Unity opens up. Okay, and for some reason the icon for the hand doesn't show up, so don't worry. So now we can click either on quit or a new game. I'm going to click on new game. So as you can see, we loaded in our scene. Everything is working fine. I can grab, of course I can grab the key, and I can play this apartment scene. Let's grab this pistol and let's get killed, just to make sure that the scene is working. So as you can see, everything is working fine. And now I'm going to quit out of this application. As you can see, the quit button works now because we're not inside of the Unity editor, but instead in our actual game. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial series. I think this is the last episode of this particular tutorial series. Don't worry, that doesn't mean that I'm going to quit YouTube. It just means that I'm finished with this tutorial series and that we can move on to something else. A lot of you guys made like tutorial requests, and I'm going to make videos about them. If you have another idea for another tutorial series, you can just tell me in the comment section below so that I can think about it. And I think we had a great time. We made a pretty impressive game. So if you made it as far as we did, so if you made it to this very last episode, you can say that you made a lot. Like, look at what you have achieved. You have made your own level. You've imported stuff from the asset store. We learned how to make our own inputs in the input manager. So input, project settings, input. We learned how to actually build our game. We learned to write a lot of scripts. Like, look at all those scripts we have written in this tutorial series. I mean, yeah, they're not very complicated, or they are not very, let's be honest, they're not very good. They're not good systems, but I think they're good enough for beginning people. And I know that I sometimes didn't explain all the lines of code well enough, so I'm sorry for that, but I really hope that you learned something about programming. And of course, we learned a lot of things about Unity itself. So for example, we learned to use the prefab system with our key. So we can just drag in keys and we can apply the door and pickup sounds. So let's delete it. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun with this tutorial series. I may want to make some like future updates or upgrade tutorials, but they're not going to come out regularly, so don't expect to see one next week. And yeah, so again, thanks for watching. I love you guys so much. I never thought that this series would get so popular. I currently have 420 subscribers, which is kind of funny, especially if you are like into gaming and you know that meme. So I'm sorry if you don't like memes. So yeah, like really makes me so happy that you guys like stick to it, and all the feedback you gave me, it's like, thank you so much. You don't even know how much it means to me. Like, you're such a nice community, and I really want to thank you for that. So yeah, as always, don't forget to smile, and until next time, bye guys.